Well,
so we are underway then. It looks a relatively even start in those very early stages. Probably a little bit faster than Ricky Wilson would have done his cross countries as well, potentially, if it's not something that he was overly fond of. But anyway, I get off track. The senior girls ing well around that first slight, not even bend, just slight veer off to the right, past the hedgerow as they make their way past the pond. And it is a bit of a pack forming at the front, but no one taking it on just yet. And it'll be interesting to see how these girls do go about it. Of course, plenty of racing experience, as we mentioned a few moments ago. Olivia Forrest, Lauren and Katie Webb, Evie Powell, Zoe Gilbody, some big names in there with lots of experience in the cross-country scene, plus many, many others. There's Zoe Gilbody and Olivia Forrest at the front there, both in, Olivia Forrest in kind of red, black and white, Zoe Gilbody in like a maroon and an orangey sort of strip. And these athletes will be wondering how this is going to play out. Scarlett Hutchinson-Thompson in the front there as well. And a long stream of athletes make their way all the way round as we see them snake through the course, Scott.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting that Arlo Widdowson is in there as well for New Hall School inside this leading group of 10 or so athletes. Brilliant scenes just to show what it's like being inside one of those groups. So the senior girls, they have a medium lap to start, so they will head to the left on this hairpin bend. Olivia Forrest in her off-coloured long socks, as we always see her in, heading out at the front. More than happy to push the pace. She always does, whether it's track or cross-country, likes to hit the front and has opened up a good 5 metre or so gap here early on. Exactly what she would have wanted to do. Certainly when we get to these senior age groups, we mentioned in the inter-age groups that some might have a plan. Most of them will perhaps just run on feel. I think when you get to these senior age groups, they will definitely have a bit more technical nous and will start to use that to their advantage where possible, and getting to the front, trying to stretch the field out early on, knowing the sort of training you've done and how fit you are and how much work you've got in your legs can just give you that confidence to take it out a bit harder and try and set a rhythm that others maybe can't go with in these opening few kilometres. And very interesting here from Olivia Forrest to see her take it out hard, and this is a nice downhill stretch. They can try and build some speed.
Yeah, absolutely. Olivia Scott looking like she's moving really well. And she'll be glad to put that gap in between herself and the chasers, I imagine. And it is definitely interesting, like you say, Scott, a lot of these athletes will be turning up and running how they feel, but there definitely is a more tactical awareness with some of these girls. And they'll be aware perhaps more of what their other competitors can do, even if that doesn't quite translate to a full race plan just yet. They might be a little bit wary of letting people get too close or too far away, etc. And now we see that lead that Olivia Forrest had just close off a little bit as we move through that wooded area. And the athletes close that gap back up. Forrest sat happily there, though, at the front of the pack. Gilbody moving up to the left of your screen onto her right-hand shoulder. Next to her, Katie Pye, of course, another big name, Guildford High. These girls have won several medals on the national stage already. They're very used to the big crowds, the big occasions, and they won't let it get to them.
Yeah, this is really a stellar field, and we talk about that experience. Katie Pye, as you mentioned, one of those. Her club, Guildford High School, in that vest we've already seen have some success today with Kitty Scott winning the inter-girls race. Could she make it a 1-2 for Guildford High? They've done very well in the team events today as well. I mean, they were, my goodness, over 87 points ahead of the next place team in the inter-girls team competition, which just shows how dominant they were. And Pye this season, going well. South of England champion, Surrey County champion. Finished a few places ahead of Olivia Forrest at the Leeds Cross Challenge just a couple of weeks ago, early on in February. And Katie Pye sitting in second behind Zoe Gilbody here.
Yeah, Gilbody happy to start taking this on now. Katie Pye sat happily on her shoulder. Evie Powell there as well. Georgia Bell tucked in fourth currently. And Zoe Gilbody, one of the only athletes we've seen choosing to wear a pair of gloves this afternoon. Perhaps the winds have just made the temperature feel a little bit chillier. The last thing you want to be worried about is how much your hands are hurting from the cold or how chilly you are. And it is, like I mentioned, a removable piece of clothing that you can just dump on the side of the course and retrieve a little bit later on. But Olivia Forrest has dropped back just a little bit. I'm wondering if that gap that she put in initially just didn't last quite long enough. It wasn't quite enough for her to carry the momentum forward, and it'd be interesting to see how she decides to move through the next part of the race and see if she can close that gap and get on the back of that lead group once again. But at the moment, these four athletes are moving very well, working together. All of them looking very relaxed, none of them too stressed that they've all still got company. We've seen a lot of athletes deciding today to take it on and open up a lead throughout the race and try and stretch that gap. There's been no real close finishes, no one's sitting in a pack just yet. So interesting to see these girls deciding to stay as a four at the moment and all staying very relaxed, with those Zoe Gilbody very happy to take on the work as things stand.
Yeah, you're right. This is their second lap as well, so they don't have too much longer, less than a mile to go in this race. So if there is going to be a move, or if somebody's going to try and make a long run from home, it will have to come soon. And that leading group of four working well together. Olivia Forrest down in around about 7th at the moment, which is good going. Plenty of work here from Gilbody at the front of this race. Pye doing well. These two shoulder to shoulder with Evie Powell in there as well.
Yeah, important to note, of course, that Olivia Forrest is up in age group this year. She will be the youngest year in the race. She'll have plenty of time left in the senior girls to come back to this competition in the future, as she won the Inters last year. But yeah, these girls doing an absolutely phenomenal job, happily ticking along at the moment. And it'll be interesting to see, of course, a much shorter distance than a lot of these girls are used to. A lot of them will be competing in the under 20 category in club competitions, and during that they'll be competing over potentially 5-6 kilometres. So to drop down to 3 is a much quicker race, and that's perhaps why Olivia Forrest decided to try and take it on in the early stages. But the legs just weren't quite there for her today. But at the moment, Gilbody still looking very relaxed, not panicking at all that Pye is still on her shoulder. These two happy to just tick along, wind down the clock essentially.
Let's go, Katie, it's good. Go on, G. Big push. Go on, G.
Georgia Bell's there in third at the moment.
Well done, Olivia. Go on, Olivia.
And now for the first time, we see Katie Pye decide to just try and put the foot down just a bit. And she's opened up a gap of maybe 4 or 5 metres. In fact, it's stretching out as they move around that corner between herself and Gilbody. She's allowed Gilbody to take on the workload for the majority of this race so far. And now Katie Pye, she's really turned on the afterburners. She's moving through very, very nicely. Gilbody looking perhaps just a tiny bit fatigued, but picking at tiny little bits, if you like, with that one. But I think Katie Pye looking so strong, and Guildford High really could be coming in to some success in the intergirls and then senior girls as well. They had such a great race earlier on, and Katie Pye, I'm sure, will have watched her teammates do that and been inspired by the performances. She'll know a lot of them from her local club, running for Aldershot, Farnham and District as well. She'll be training with a lot of the Inter girls on a regular basis. And she now strides down the downhill, moving really well. That gap's significant now back to Gilbody. Quick glance behind her. And no momentum lost at all as she rounds that corner. And that gap opened up to 10, 15 metres perhaps as she makes her way down. She looks so strong. She knows she's clear. She knows she's on her own. The stride length has increased. The cadence has picked up. She looks absolutely phenomenal as she approaches the tape under the English Schools arch. Katie Pye is going to take the win at the English Schools Cross Country Cup. And a fantastic performance. Zoe Gilbody coming through in second. Evie Powell to take bronze. And there's George Bell coming over the line in fourth place. But that was an absolutely brilliantly timed run from Katie Pye, Scott.
Yeah, it was. She had the right amount left in the tank, and that's where that experience comes into play, and all that hard training over the last couple of years as you start to get a bit more serious with your athletics. Here's Olivia Forrest just crossing the line. Katie Pye, though, so good to see a big smile across her face as she crossed the line, because that's what it's all about. You want to come here. If you're going to take a win, you don't want to be disappointed with how you run it. You've won against some great athletes who are pushing all the way, and Katie Pye looks very good, and I think, you know, we'd expect to see her at the English Schools in a couple of weeks' time. Katie Pye, somebody that would fancy a chances to take a podium spot there as well, and yeah, I think a fantastic performance. You know, remember, she's somebody that won the European youth title over 3,000 metres last summer. She is a very accomplished athlete, and to see her today take that win, I mean, 4-second margin, she was, you know, 30 metres ahead at the end. Fabulous run.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's the results on your screen. Katie Pye, Guildford High there. They've had just a brilliant afternoon so far. So we can see Headington School, 3 in the top 10. Evie Powell in third. And then, oh, apologies. So that is the top 20. They are live results ticking through. It's top 3 fixed, of course, on your screen. But that is nonetheless absolutely sterling from Headington School. To have athletes packed in closely together can make all the difference when it comes to team standings. And the points will be totted up, double-checked, triple-checked, and maybe checked once again before the presentations that take place this afternoon. And the athletes, I'm sure, will be eagerly awaiting them and awaiting their medals. But an interesting point you made a few moments ago, Scott, about the pedigree that Katie Pye has, Zoe Gilbody as well, competing at European level already in the younger age groups. And it just goes to show that the level of competition that the English Schools does attract, both in the English Schools Championships and in the Cross Country Cup as well, that these athletes are participating at European level, world level, as well as at the school level. It just goes to show the talent that we do have on display, and it is absolutely fantastic to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, running these schools races gives you another bit of silverware for your locker, and at the end of a long career or a short career, those are the things you're going to look back on. And for Katie Pye, you know, running over 3,000 metres last summer and 1,500s as well, this sort of distance over the cross country does give you that bit of extra strength. Remember, this was only 3.2 kilometres today, so whilst a bit shorter than some of the distances she would have ran this year already, which have been, you know, 6 kilometres or so, you get that experience running hard over the shorter distances, and it does build nicely for the summer season on the track. And you know, depending on your philosophy from a coaching and training perspective, for a lot of people, cross country is a real staple in your program to build that additional strength and get that race experience. And we're very fortunate in the UK that we have a lot of wet, muddy winters, which allow you to build a lot of strength on the cross country circuit. So for Katie Pye, somebody who's now done this is a 6th cross country race of the winter season since the start of January. So yeah, she's got a lot of experience under her belt, and that's her 4th win so far this campaign. And I think we may well see her again over the next couple of weeks at the cross challenge maybe next week, the cross challenge final into counties, and yeah, going on to the English schools in a couple of weeks perhaps. So a big winter for her and more to come potentially.
Yeah, it'll be absolutely great to see what is still to come in 2025 for her. And it is always intriguing to see how athletes do use that cross season, that strength that you do gain from it as you head into the summer months, and build on that, progress forwards.
So we've got about 9 minutes or so until our next race, our final race of the day, which is the senior boys race. The longest race of the day as well. They'll run about 5.2 kilometres. It's 3 long laps for them. So we need to get our lap counters out so we don't get lost somewhere around this course. But great to see so many officials here. They obviously want to get on camera as well, not just about the athletes today, is it? So the clouds, as expected, have started to close in on us at the grammar school at Leeds, which means less blue sky and potentially a bit more of a breeze, but it's not been too bad out on the course today. Chilly, fresh, a perfect cross-country morning, you would have to say. And the boys who will round up our competition today, heading into the pens very shortly. Just to give you a roundup then of the team competition results from that inter-boys race we saw a few minutes ago, which was Finn McLennan of the Perth School taking a win by almost 20 seconds. I mean, extraordinary performance from him. It was the Bournemouth School who took the win with a score of 110. St Paul's was second with 112, and the Perth School 113 in third. So that was an incredibly close competition in the team competition, and the Perth School with Finn McLennan, who took the win, also gets bronze in the team event. A massive well done to him. I mean, it was so close. The Silverdale were fourth with 118, so not much to choose between them all really, and those sprint finishes down the home straight making a big difference. But only one more race to go, and it's the senior boys in just a couple of minutes' time.
Yeah, it really is interesting, actually, the difference it can make. These team competitions, the athletes will be very used to the phrase that every place matters. Very true. Of course, the athletes are pushing for every single place to pick up the best points that they absolutely can for their side. And it doesn't matter whether you're coming through in the top 1, 2, 3, however many, or into the 20s, 30s, or whatever place it could be. If you are seeing another vest in front of you and you can manage to overtake that vest, you can make an impact to the team standings, even for the athletes that are perhaps not on in the counting 4. Of course, 6 athletes can run 4 to count, and it can be really impactful, even if you are that 5th or 6th team member, to push other teams back, because you don't know exactly where those counters are for other sides. So everybody really important in the races here in the team standings. Makes a huge difference, and a great team atmosphere is cultivated from that, as we've heard out on the course today.